Is it working? The more you dig, the more shit you find. Time to find more parts. Yo, what's up? This is Clint. I'm one of the BMW bros, one of the twins. Today, I'm actually gonna be working in the garage on my M-Tech E30. Basically, what I found out with the head is that it's cracked. And that's why I couldn't get it to line up properly for some reason. It was continuously binding. The shaft carrier had cracked and had fallen off. So I'll show you guys that here in a minute. What I ended up having to do was buy a whole new head. It's a bare head, has the valve guides already pressed into it. And so what I'm gonna do is swap everything from my old head, which has all the upgraded performance parts with it. So it has, you know, the upgraded rocker arms, the rocker shaft is stock, but then it has the 284 cam and the upgraded springs and valves. So I'm gonna take all those out of the old head and put it into the new head. After I do that, I'm gonna hopefully put it back in the car and we'll see how far I get today, basically. Yeah, I'm just gonna tinker away on this bad boy and then we'll see how far I get today. All right, cool. All right, so this is my old head and you can tell right here is where this piece, it's for the rocker shaft, came off. It was binding for some reason and it might have put a little bit too much pressure on there and then cracked. I don't know when that happened, but I basically ended up having to buy a new head, and then I'm gonna pull the rocker arms, the springs, the valves, the camshaft, the rocker shaft. Basically this whole head is gonna be taken out and I'm gonna put it into the new one, which is actually in here. So I got an AMC head. They're actually like half the price of a genuine OEM BMW head, but people say that they're actually a really good aftermarket option. So I've already pulled off the oil return, basically, that sprays over the top of the whole thing. There's just 2 bolts. The two nuts that you unscrew real quick, and then I pulled the cam gear off as well. It's just a bolt that goes through the cam and holds this sprocket on there. Now I got to pull apart this whole thing, put it all into this bad boy right here, which we'll unbox a little bit here. I'm just using it right now to hold it up on there. It's actually it's a really good surface for me to just pull everything off on, and then I'll just lay everything out here nice and organized. That way I won't misplace anything. So all right, cool, let's get to it. Alright, so what I just did is I loosened up all the rockers by pulling these off, loosening up the eccentrics on each side. Basically, since now all the rockers are loose and they're off of the valve springs, now I'm going to be able to pull out the rocker shafts. So I got to take an extension and knock these out real quick. And then once I do that, we should be able to pull off each one of the rocker. I'll probably have to rotate the cam to be able to pull them off properly. Let's get to it. Alright, so I got the rocker shafts out and the rocker arms. The rocker shaft on the broken one was pretty hard to get out. It might be bent. I have to try and figure out how to figure out if that is bent or not, because that would really suck. I would have to go get another one, basically. That's the rocker arms. This is the key that goes on the end of the rocker shafts. And so that's what holds that into the block, basically, a little more secure. And then, so I pulled that out and then pulled out the rocker shafts, knocking each one out, and then pulling out the rocker arms themselves as well. So I'll have to go through and inspect each one of these. These actually look really good. You can tell there's no like flat spots or anything on it. Cool, so the rocker arms are good. One rocker shaft might be bad, and now I'm gonna pull out the camshaft, and then I'll pull out the springs and valves. All right, let's get to it. All right, well, pulling the camshaft was super easy. Basically, I just undid the 2 bolts that were right here on the seal. These 2 right here. Pulled this guy off, carefully slid out the camshaft, just making sure I don't mar anything, and just like took my sweet time just pulling it out. Yeah, came right out. Off camera, I took out one of the valves real quick. I haven't done that before, so I just wanted to see how it was done. And just try and figure it out on my own real quick. It's really simple. You just have to use a spring compressor tool. I got one of these tools off of Amazon, and what you do is you compress the spring. Basically, you use this side. It's a giant C-clamp. You compress the spring with this side, and then this side goes on the valve, and then on the other side of the head, the bottom side of the head. Once you're able to do that, you're able to pull off these top little inserts. These inserts are grooved just like the end of the valve, so they compress with the spring, and that's what helps it stay in there all together. So then you have the top hat for the spring, and then you have the perch for the spring. And this is a dual spring, so there's actually 2. There's another one inside of there, and then there's the valve. So I pulled out that first one. It's looking good so far, but I'm guessing one of these next ones is probably bent. We'll have to check it out and see. All right, so I compressed the spring, and then this little piece right in here is what needs to come out. That's basically what's holding it all. So as you can tell, it's on the valve on the back, and then on the top. Compress that, and then we need to just pull these out. They come out real easily. Just do it by hand. They're just in the grooves. Oh, come on. Get out. Got one piece out. A little hard to do this by hand. Just very lightly. Stick this in there. There we go. Came right out. And then what I'll do now is I'm gonna loosen up the clamp from the other side. Carefully loosen it. My favorite noise. Just open up this guy. And then we just take this off. And then you can just press the valve out like so. Pull it out from the other side. And then you pull off the bottom perch right there. And then you can tell the valve seal's still in there. I have new ones of these, so those will be going into the new head. So that's it. I gotta do this 14 more times. Pretty fun. So I got all the valves and the springs out. From what I can tell, all the valves are good. My guess actually is that the rocker shaft is also good. It's probably just because the old head had the cracked rocker. It just made it difficult to get out. I'll have to try and figure out to see if it's straight or not. We have a straight edge in here actually. I can just use that real quick and see. But yeah, I'll show you guys all the valves and the springs, camshaft, rocker arms, rocker shafts, the old head. I'll grab that straight edge real quick, put it up next to the rocker shaft. All right, so I grabbed my straight edge. I'm basically rotating the rocker shaft along the straight edge. Right there, you can tell that it lifts some and then bends out. So that is not straight. And then you can also tell that it has space right in here. In between the straight edge and the shaft, it's definitely bent. That's probably the easiest way to tell if something that's round is bent by using a straight edge. All right, after I inspected the valves again, since I know the rocker shaft is bent, that means more than likely some of the valves are bent as well. This valve right here, it leans, which means it's bent. So I'm gonna have to find new valves also. Now I gotta find a rocker shaft, and then I'll be able to put this guy back together. Sweet.